So this is weird. I didn't think this was going to happen. I don't think anybody did, actually. But the happy face serial killer, guy from the 90s, he's in prison. The happy face serial killer and the Long Island suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer, they are pen pals. Think about it. Doesn't make sense, does it? No, it does not. The guy who absolutely is a serial killer is pen pals with the guy who is defending the accusations that he is the Gilgo Beach, Long Island serial killer. I'm going to explain that in just a bit. But first you need to know about the happy face killer, because he made big news on his own today. And then this whole business about him being a pen pal came out. So the news that was made was that they have added another body count and charged him with another murder, like 3 decades after it happened. And I get it, cold cases, okay, we solved it. But the weirdest part of all of this is that he actually had said it. He led them to the body 29 years ago. So why are we only adding to the body count now? He's serving 7 life terms, so I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm not worried about what's going to happen? Are they going to commit? Who cares? He's not getting out. But if you don't remember the happy face killer, the deal with this fella is that he was a long-haul trucker, and it was in the 90s. He killed at least 8 women, right? Across 6 states, California, Nebraska, Wyoming, Oregon, Washington, and Florida. He used to send confession letters taunting the police, and he would sign them with a happy face because he's that kind of guy. That's why he got the name, the happy face killer. Landscapers actually found the last body on Interstate 10 in Florida, September of 1994, like 29 years ago. They didn't identify the remains. They weren't able to identify the remains with what they had and the science back then. Even though he said, I tossed out my victim on the interstate and told him where to go. But then, as you guys have all heard because of the Idaho quadruple murders, Othram came along, that Texas genealogy DNA testing facility. They came along and they did testing. They did genealogy testing, and it led them to the happy face killer. So they threw the charge on him. And then it turns out they do an interview with him in prison. Oh, by the way, he admitted to pressing his fist into her neck and zip tying her throat because she was too noisy in the vehicle. He picked her up at a truck stop, and she was hitchhiking, and she was screaming at some point, doesn't say why. And then that's how he killed her, because he said she was screaming baloney sick. Then he says, I used to write serial killers. I would say, when somebody all of a sudden breaks in a case, I would send a letter. As the happy face killer, I would send a letter to a suspected serial killer, and I would tell them to confess. And I did that to Rex Heuermann, the Long Island suspected Gilgo Beach guy. And Rex wrote back. Rex Heuermann wrote back to the happy face killer. The request from the happy face killer was to come clean, be honest, and, clear your conscience. And the answer from Rex Heuermann was, I'll take it under advisement. I want to bring in Mike King. He's a retired homicide detective with 28 years law enforcement experience, host of the popular podcast Profiling Evil. I can see it in your face. I can see it in your face. The fact that they're pen pals, you can't make this stuff up. But I want you to tell me a little bit about Suzanne Kjellenberg. It's not going to make a difference, Mike, to his sentence. How much of a difference does it make when a guy like you goes to a family that's been waiting for 30 years for justice and says, we have a solution, we know who it is? What does it mean to them?
Yeah, that's really the purpose in pursuing this and figuring out who this woman is, isn't it, Ashleigh? That you can go to the family and finally bring not closure. I don't know that these things bring closure, but it certainly brings answers. It might enable a family to bury a loved one properly. But this is huge, and it's kind of a victory lap for law enforcement that finally we've been able to figure this out, and sends a message that we don't give up. And thankfully, we got guys like Middleman who put Othram together and make this available.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.